Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to TrepTalks. This is the show where I interview successful e-commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business stories, and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today, I'm really excited to welcome Eric Bandholz to the show. Eric is the founder of BeardBrand. BeardBrand is an American men's grooming company based in Austin, Texas. It sells products for grooming, styling, and maintaining beards, hair, skin, and mustaches. And today I'm going to ask Eric a few questions about his entrepreneur journey and some of the strategies and tactics that he has used to start and grow his business. Now, before we dive into this interview, if you enjoy this content, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And for more interviews like this, please visit treptalks.com. And with that, Eric, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today at Trep Talks. Really, really appreciate your time.
What is going on, man? How you doing?
Doing well, and
Yeah.
really excited to learn a little bit more about your story.
Well, I hope to fill your brain up with a nozzle full of information. We'll see see if I can
Info
do that or not.
all the beard product information. So I
Yeah,
was on
yeah,
your,
you got to grow your beard out first, huh?
actually,
I imagine you could probably grow a pretty gnarly beard.
well, the thing is, I did try it out. I think last year I tried it out, but I think some people are more gifted in their beard department than others. Like I did have it, but I don't know. I didn't completely feel it, so I decided
Yeah.
to shave it. So, but I'm interested. I was on your website and I was looking at the about page and I read a little bit about your story. And I believe what was written was about 10 years or so ago, you were in like some job and you were unfulfilled, and then for in one way or another you decided to grow your beard and somehow got the idea. So, can you share a little bit about what were you doing before you started this business? What kind of motivated you, and why create a like a grooming products company?
Yeah, I mean that feels like such a long time ago. We Beard Brand launched in 2012, but kind of the impetus was, or the idea, not that, I guess the foundation was a little bit before that. I used to be a financial advisor working at a mega bank, wearing a suit and tie, shaving my face every day. And I always felt like that was kind of like putting on a mask for me. I felt like I enjoyed growing out facial hair, and had grown it in previous jobs or in the weekend or whenever I traveled. Kind of got frustrated with that job, ended up quitting that job. And when I quit my job, I started growing my beard out. And it was in this journey of like growing my beard out long for the first time. I think this is probably like about the length it was when I kind of got the idea for Beard Brand. So it was a pretty big beard. I've had big and short beards. And anyways, I ended up going to an event where I started to meet other guys with facial hair who shared similar stories to me. See, I used to be called Duck Dynasty or ZZ Top and Grizzly Adams, and those are all really cool dudes. But as I said, I used to be a financial advisor. I'm kind of more of a white collar kind of guy. And historically, especially, over a decade ago, beards were not socially acceptable in those
Hmm.
roles. And I created Beard Brand as a way to unite this community of men who didn't fit the traditional stereotype of beardsmen, and really give them the tools they needed to feel confident with growing their beard out, in any kind of environment. And that meant obviously products to help groom it, but also education. So we've produced over a couple thousand videos on YouTube. We've got an extensive blog network, our email marketing or our email communications, probably some of the best you can find for a company of our size. And yeah, we're a bootstrap company. So I've got two business partners, a small team. We've kept it small. I value freedom over, I want to say freedom over money, because money is one of those things that help you get freedom. But the reason I work isn't to generate money or more money. It's to generate more freedom. So that's
Hmm.
kind of what's driving me. And I think at a certain point, I think rappers have talked about it before. It's just more money, more problems. And there's some problems that I'm not intentionally seeking out.
No, I think that's great. It seems like, I mean, you have pursued a mission, and I mean that's part of it is pursuing freedom, but part of it also is kind of helping the men who do have beard and facial hair with better products. Can you talk a little bit about your products? I mean, where did you start? I mean, it seems like you have a wide portfolio of products, and how did kind of you um, created your product assortment or portfolio?
Yeah. I mean, I've got some here. Here's some of our utility oil. This is our best seller. It's like a beard oil on crack. It can work for your beard, for your face, for your hair, for your body, anywhere. We started off with the beard oil and it evolved into the utility oil um, over time. And we really, in the early days, we kind of didn't know what type of products to produce. We tried a lot of different things. We we even sold like suspenders at a period of time. We sold dot bags. We sold wallets. We even sold olive oil at one point in our business. And, you know, one of the lessons that I've learned in business is like, business is never easy, but some things are easier than others. And when you sell a product that, or you develop a product and offer it to your customers and it moves off the shelf at an easier rate, that's a sign of kind of like a direction to go. And for us, like our customers were constantly telling us that grooming products were what we wanted to develop. So we developed a full line of products for your beard, your hair, your body. So if you're a dude out there, you can pretty much use our products. It doesn't matter if you have a beard or not. Obviously, we're pro beard and we've got a lot of products for beards, but the utility nature of our products allow people, the wash is going to work on your head hair, it's going to work on your beard hair, it's going to work on your body hair. It's a great wash. So uh, go to beardbrand.com. You can kind of see our full line, but we try to, in developing our products, we try to be innovative and do things that haven't been done before. I personally don't, I know there's a lot of strategies in how you can develop products. I personally don't get excited to, see what's trending on Amazon, do some data analysis, figure out what's wrong with those products and, make some minor tweaks to it and then just offer it. For me, it's Beard Brand and the products we develop are an extension of the things that we need, or I need, especially, and the team needs, and trying to develop products that I would want to use on a regular basis and develop them in a way that is innovative and unique. And for instance, we were the first company to put clay in the sea salt spray to mimic the sand that you'd get when you go to the beach,
Hmm.
swimming in the ocean. No one had done that before. We're the first company to come out with a beard softener and use that term, the utility bar, and using the utility name, and that nomenclature is novel as well when we came out with it. So, I get excited for creating new things, and unfortunately, that's a hard thing because sometimes you can be too early to the market. Sometimes the market just doesn't have an interest in it,
Hmm.
and you miss the mark on the product. But for me, it's like that's just a much more enjoyable problem to solve.
Yeah, and that's interesting, right? I think you mentioned from a business point of view, where, when the products start flying off the shelf, that's an indication that you've kind of hit the mark, right? And I think that's a very good definition of product market fit as well. I think I read somewhere in the past where, the moment when you hit the product market fit is where it feels effortless, right? Like you're not running after the customer and promoting a product, and it just you know uh, starts working. When you started out with this company, was there what did this category exist at that time, like a beard or grooming products kind of a thing, or was this kind of an idea that you brought into the market?
Yeah, so we were not the first company to develop a beard oil, to be clear with that. But I do feel like Beard Brand had a major part in developing the idea of a beard care company. and beard care grooming products. We were on Shark Tank back in 2012 where we pitched the sharks. I think that was the first time a lot of people in America got exposure to the idea of products developed specifically for your beard. And the company BeardBrand was built around beard grooming. So if we didn't create it, there might be some other people out there who could stake claim to being the absolute first to beard care. But I would say we, in the early days, had a very notable impact on the marketplace. I remember getting some orders from like Tom Ford and Jack Black and our competitors who were clearly doing their market research to develop products to come out with.
From Tom Ford. Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
that is a compliment. That's probably the ultimate compliment.
yeah.
Um, um, I mean, if you're not the
And I
first,
should be clear, like Tom Ford Beauty, the company, not Tom Ford, the individual.
oh,
So
okay, okay. I mean, even if you were not the first, I think you probably, I mean, your brand is, I think, quite visible. So I think you definitely probably had a much bigger impact on this category from the branding and visibility perspective. Um, did you plan it that way? Like when you started out, were you more of the branding guy? Were you more of the product guy? Like how did you kind of approach launching this business into the market?
yeah, so going all the way back then, like BeardBrand, as I said earlier, is generally to a certain degree an extension of myself and the things that I find joy in. So obviously, I enjoy having a beard and caring for a beard and developing products. I've been involved in the product development. The big thing that BeardBrand does differently than a lot of our, well, I can't speak for all of our competitors. There's thousands of them, literally, but we do fragrance for really well, and we tell the story of the fragrance really well. And I would say that I'm probably better than average at developing a story and then developing a fragrance that matches that story. Um, And then, like for me, I did like I'm a self-taught graphic artist. Played around in Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign and in my youth, and kind of leveraged my own skills to develop our own website. Develop like I illustrated our beard logo. Of course, the name Beard Brand, bought the domain beardbrand.com, and so design's been an important part of who I am. I enjoy design as well, and we bootstrapped in the early days, so that meant I had to do more time-intensive things than cash-intensive things. So I spent a lot
Mm.
of time on social media. That's where we developed our YouTube channel. Back then, we also had a Tumblr account. Spent a lot of time on Reddit, really just telling our story. And in the early days, like growing BeardBrand was less about like, hey, here's the business and we're going to build it this way. And it was more about, hey, let's do something and see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, that's fine. We'll wrap it up and focus our energies on other projects. But if it does have legs, we'll pursue that. And then as we saw the business had more and more legs, we started to invest more energy and resources into it. My business partner came on board full time. We started hiring employees, and took it to the limits that we felt comfortable with.
So you mentioned that you have bootstrapped it, and I believe you also mentioned you have three partners or so.
Two
Um,
partners,
Two
three of
partners.
us together.
What was the initial investment, and then what have been other investments, and at what point did you kind of get to the realization that, you're seeing something different, like in terms of growth?
Yeah. So our initial investment was $30 into a Shopify um, plan, subscription, I guess, and then we actually were able to we retailed another company's product to begin with. So we came to an agreement with them, and our first orders came in before we received the product because we were quoted in a New York Times article. So we wanted to get the website up before that. And so I hadn't even received the products. Orders started coming in, and then that partner started shipping for us. So technically, we were kind of cash flow positive from the get-go.
Hmm.
And then my business partners, because it was like my idea, they chipped in some money. Total between the three of us, we've got less than $10,000 into the business. And yeah, it's just like if we made a dollar, we put it in. And then I would say right around like $25,000 a month, it kind
Hmm.
of felt like it could be real.
Hmm.
At the time, so my wife became pregnant with our first child within days of when BeardBrand launched. In fact, I think it was about 2 weeks after BeardBrand launched. So I had a 9 month runway where I had to show the viability of the business, or it was likely I needed to go back to
Hmm.
working for the man to support the family. So um, each month was kind of like better than the last. I think by June or July, we were hitting about 25K. And then I think by October, November, I think by November of that year, that same year, we hit 83K. And that's when we had like our first hire. And, I could start working on it more. And then eventually I would draw a salary out of it, I think in the next year or something like that. But yeah, it was a fun ride that first year. Certainly, I felt like God's gift to entrepreneurship, and I think, of course, a lot of that is timing and luck with that product market fit, where you have the right product, the right messaging to the right audience at the right time. Which is, honestly speaking, having seen a lot of businesses over the years, is really like what they say, catching a genie in a bottle. Is that what they
Hmm.
say?
For sure.
Or
Yeah. I mean, timing,
lightning in a
timing.
bottle, lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's always some matter of luck
Oh yeah.
in anything. How do I mean, your company is an American company. Do you manufacture your products in the United States or is it outsourced?
Yeah, so we all of our grooming products, which the oils, the balms, the paste, the sea salt sprays, all those are manufactured with contract manufacturers in America. We will source like our bottles and our pumps from China, and then we do have products like these cellulose acetate combs that will be produced in Switzerland or in Europe, and like our brushes developed in Europe as well. And then we have some scissors that we produce in Taiwan. So most of the stuff that we move is manufactured here in America.
Um, in terms of competition, obviously, as you said, now you have hundreds of competitors, right? I'm sure once something works, everybody wants to get a piece of it. Um, is it, do you find that you've already carved your place in the market, or do you still are seeing growth year over year, or are you finding it more and more difficult where, more competitors are coming up with similar products and they're kind of taking some share of the market?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like if we were the only company in this space, we would be a much larger company, but competition is inevitable. I think the success and the growth of our company isn't limited by our competition. I think it's limited by our execution as an organization and the things that we do. So I try not to spend too much time outside the business, thinking about outside the business, because at the end of the day, I can't control what our competitors do. I do need to be aware of it to make sure that we're not just, not sharing compelling value propositions to our audience. Um, but we've actually had a tough past couple of years. It's not been up and to the right, which has made it more challenging, and especially after being in a business so long, you wouldn't expect it to hit that late into the business, but we hit it probably about 30 months ago. It's been a real slog that we've been trying to get through it, and there's a lot of things that I can attribute to it, but Not, unfortunately, not one thing that I can pinpoint on it, but I think the opportunity for us, if we can execute it, is nearly limitless. Now,
Hmm.
some of those executions might take risks that we're not willing to do, whether that being, leveraging capital, leveraging outside funding, bringing on additional partners, things like that. Not really quite ready for that kind of stuff, and
Hmm.
maybe that does limit our growth, but it's something that I'm okay with as well.
But would you do that for like creating new products or like just more for marketing purposes, like bringing new capital?
No, no. I mean, so we self-fund everything. If we've got cash, then we'll develop a new product, or we'll spend it on marketing. And if we don't have cash, then we figure out a way to tighten up our belt and get more cash.
Okay.
I don't.
Um,
I don't like loans. We don't have any debt. I don't like running a business that way. It's hard for me to sleep at night with. I mean, we'll use credit cards because it's functionally an easy way to buy things, but we don't keep a balance. We pay it off, so we don't have any line of credits, anything like that.
yeah, I mean, in terms of like growth, I think when you think about growth, like, is it primarily going to come from like going after new products or new markets or like new categories? Like, are you thinking about like when you think from like business perspective and growth, do you think about like going after new markets or new categories or really just doubling down on the products that you already have and just, maybe finding the audience that's not using your products and going after them? Like, how do you think about growth?
I mean, to answer your question, I think of it all of those ways. Strategically, depending on where we're at in the business, it may have been different ways. In the early days, when we only had like one or two SKUs, the focus was on developing more products to have a fuller product line. So if we did bring someone on board, we could drive up that lifetime value and the average order value and things like that. But as our line has gotten more extensive, that will cover pretty much all your core grooming and styling needs. Our focus has been more on like how can we add a new channel to the company and grow through those new channels. And there's a ton of channels that we haven't yet gone to that will give us our opportunity for growth. So
So I do see that
think of it
you,
both ways.
in terms of your channels, I'm assuming like, of course, your website is a big channel, and then I'm sure you're on Amazon and some of those channels. I also see that you are in some retail, you have retail presence. Um, are you on like any big st in big store chain stores within the US also?
Yeah, so that's a sensitive subject, my friend. Target dropped us a couple years ago in 2022, and we were in all their stores and selling quite well in those stores. However, they moved a different direction with how they're sourcing or what companies are choosing to work from, and unfortunately, we didn't make that cut. So that was kind of like one of the catalysts of us like uh, resizing our company when we lost that retailer. I do think that's eventually that's going to be a major channel for us is retail. However, our products tend to be on the higher price point, which don't really work for a lot of major retailers. Um, so it's not something that at the end of the day, I'm kind of like okay with BeardBrand being a niche company where we serve our customers who tend to be successful individuals who care about quality ingredients, who care about the products they have, and they also value grooming and have beards. Like those are our customers. Your typical dude is probably not going to be drawn in to the value proposition that BeardBrand does. The amount of money that we invest into our ingredients and to our fragrances and into our packaging. Most guys really don't care for that. The market's actually quite small for men's grooming. If you're listening to this and you're considering getting into men's grooming, um, I would probably recommend a different category. It's been really hard, and my peers also share that sentiment. So try women's beauty. I think that market's a little bit bigger.
Okay. Wow, very interesting. Um, I would assume like when you started out, I mean you started out 10, 15 years ago, e-commerce looked different and marketing was different, online marketing. What have you seen in your experience? How has kind of digital marketing, online marketing evolved as you've grown over the years? And are you leveraging different channels? Are you doing paid ads? Are you leveraging TikTok and other places like in terms of customer acquisition and so forth? Can you talk a little bit about your marketing, how it has evolved and what's working now?
Yeah, a lot has changed over the years. We've leaned heavily because we're bootstrapped. We've leaned heavily on what we call organic, and within the organic category is going to be social media posts. There's going to be blog articles, email marketing, and also like YouTube long form content. And then in the early days, we did a fair bit of like PR outreach. That was our primary growth channels in the early days, and frankly, probably the things that we still do the best. We've branched out into Facebook ads, which have gotten considerably harder over the years. We probably should have, in hindsight, we probably should have put more resources to that years ago, and Amazon too. We didn't really go onto Amazon until we lost Target and we moved the offering from our Target to Amazon. So I think that was maybe a missed opportunity for us, not building on Amazon like we could have or should have. And then, we try to stay focused. So we narrowed it down to our online acquisition, just purely being Meta. We dipped our toes in with X and TikTok shops for a period of time. Didn't have a lot of success with those. And then, we've kind of had like on again, off again relationship with Google Ads. So we've been off with Google Ads for a period of time, and now that we have a firmer grasp on our meta advertising, we're looking at bringing Google Ads back online.
Awesome. What does your team look like right now?
Well, I'm 6'5", white with a big beard.
Are you really 6'5"?
Yeah, I'm a big
Really?
dude.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good
No,
to know.
but we're pretty small. We got about 10 team members, and we're distributed. Well, I guess globally, we're distributed globally. Um, a few of those are part-time team members, but we try to keep the important things to us in-house, which is going to be our art direction, our copywriting, our um, website management, and then our customer service, and then um, operations, of course, and YouTube content creation. All that's done in-house. And then we'll work with partners for uh, various things like whether it be like email flow management or um Amazon management. Those are our major firms that we work with.
Awesome. Um, in terms of, I mean, you did mention Shark Tank previously. Was that at the earlier stages of your business? What was your experience like? Did you, I'm assuming you didn't take the funding. Can you share a little bit about your Shark Tank experience?
Yeah, we aired on Shark Tank on Halloween, October 31st, 2014. So we were when I recorded, we were about 18 months into the business. And then when we aired, it was about what is that, 21 months, something like that. And it was, geez, man, 11 years ago. So I would imagine how things go on Shark Tank are probably a little bit different. Is the show still on? I don't watch the show, so
I think it's still on.
but it
Yeah.
was okay. Yeah, I think it was great. You know, it was a great experience. You do a lot of preparation, you work on your pitch, and then you get in there and you negotiate with great entrepreneurs, and you hope that you tell a story in a way that resonates with the producers, that they want to share the story, and then you hope that they edit it in a way that portrays the experience fairly. And of course, there's always going to be my perception of it and the camera's perception of it and the producers. But I felt like my time in there was a fairly accurate representation because they're cutting 45 minutes or an hour down to 6 minutes. So they've got to cut a lot from it. So I did feel like they did a pretty good job of that. And unfortunately for me, or oddly to me, like none of them saw a market for people growing beards. I think they missed the boat on that one.
Hmm.
So we didn't even get an offer to turn down. However, I left the show there, and they put it in the edit as well that they were kind and spoke highly of BeardBrand and what we were building. So it was a good experience.
Okay, awesome. In terms of your fulfillment and shipping strategy, can you talk a little bit about, how you warehouse your products and like, do you ship from a single warehouse? Do you utilize third-party logistics? Can you talk a little bit about your fulfillment and shipping?
Yeah, yeah. Talking of our partners, we do partner with a third-party logistics, a 3PL. They're located here in the Austin area. And we've worked with a variety of 3PLs over the years. I think the one downside of e-commerce and shipping is that if you do plan to do that in-house and your goals are freedom, shipping is one of the few things that can be limiting because you get an order and you got to send it out. So to
Hmm.
me, as someone who's driven to freedom, the idea of working with a third party was always pretty important to us. We've gone through a few different partners over the years, and most of them have been great. And then either like we outgrew them or our business changed and we had different needs. Um, so our current partner, we've been with them for I don't know, I guess about a half a year now. And they've been a great partner for us, really hands-on, more of a like a boutique, a small company. He only has a handful of clients, so we can wrap up our orders in a way that meets our expectations and standards. It's a little more kind of like a white glove experience that our customers are going to get versus, maybe one of these major fulfillment partners where they just throw something in a box without
Hmm.
the same kind of care and consideration that we need as a higher end retailer.
Does the customer in this category have any expectations around like speed, like they need the product like 1 or 2 days, after they place the order or something? Like, have you is there anything like, I mean, because to me it doesn't seem like this is a product where the customer would care if they are receiving it the next day or something.
I mean, there's always going to be situations where people have a higher urgency to receive the product quickly. Maybe they're traveling, they're going out of town. We do ship on Amazon, so in theory, they could get those products pretty quickly. I would say my recommendation to most e-commerce brands out there, especially those trying to build on their own website or through a platform like Shopify, is that the demands for a customer to be getting everything the next day or within a couple of days is probably, you know, higher. You think it's higher than it actually is. I think the customers have a lot of tolerance to wait for the right product when they are being intentional with what they're buying. So if it's a commodity item like toilet paper or Kleenexes or something like that, yeah, they want it tomorrow because they could just get that from HEB. But if it's something that is going to be more tailored to their needs, so something that really speaks to them from a niche perspective, they're going to wait for that product because they want that product and that product's going to bring more value to their lives. So I, as an entrepreneur, wouldn't recommend that operators get too concerned with how quickly the packages arrive to their customers. With that being said, we do strive to ship things out very rapidly, like within 24 hours. We're on Shopify. Shopify has a thing called Shop Promise that has metrics with how many orders go out with tracking information, how many orders go out within 24 hours, how many orders get received within 5 days, and what the cost of the shipping is. Do you have affordable shipping? And for us, we check all those boxes so that Shopify can display the Shop Promise badge icon on their stores, and our customers know they can get it pretty quickly.
Awesome. What have you learned about your customers? Obviously, you said that, this is a specific kind of a audience who is focused on their, I guess, beard grooming, and obviously your value proposition is around fragrances and things like this. Have you learned anything interesting about your audience, your customers, that kind of surprised you or uh, was interesting?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got a pretty good relationship with our customers because we have our YouTube channel. We'll see the comments. We do live streams. So we'll see our customers in there pretty regularly. We also developed our own private community called the Alliance, which is built on Discourse forum software. And I'm in there all the time chatting with them, seeing their faces, seeing what they look like, kind of learning their core values. At the end of the day, I think they're drawn to BeardBrand because of what we stand for and our core values: freedom, hunger, and trust, and how we, strive to, inspire people to become better versions of themselves. And so they tend to be like that. They tend to be self-investment focused. They tend to be a little bit older, and maybe they were late into growing their first beard. So they are very much like that urban professional. We call them urban beardsmen. Um, and frankly, in my opinion, they're quite badasses. Like I could hang out with my customers all day long. I can't imagine having a business and selling to customers you don't really connect with or resonate with. We put on like in-person events from time to time, and we hang out. We do calls together, and they're damn good looking too because they've been watching our videos and staying on top of their the style and grooming routine. Also, we have our barbershop, so I'll see them come in there as well. But at the end of the day, um, like fragrance is subjective. So I will never be able to make a fragrance that is universally loved by everyone. So what I try to do is portray it as accurately as possible so that our customers can self-select to the fragrance that they feel like they're going to resonate with.
Awesome. Um, I mean, it would be interesting if in the future there's a technology that allows people to like smell the fragrance through the computer. I think that'll be quite interesting. Um,
I
I
mean,
know you,
we choose to use natural ingredients that I think have, more complex notes to them than anything that technology would ever allow you to do. And subsequently, what we try to do is just really make it clear, if you don't like it, we'll get you your money back. Like there's going to be no loss to you. So we know it's subjective, and because of that, we're happy to facilitate any kind of exchanges or returns.
I mean, that's a pretty good value proposition. I think in the e-commerce world, I mean, if you say, if you don't like it, we'll give you your money back. I think that's a pretty good value proposition. Um,
Yeah, I mean, like I think pretty much everyone does that though, so it's not as unique. I mean, maybe the cheap guys on Amazon can't or won't do that, but most companies this seem to be very, in my opinion, probably are pretty customer forward. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't buy as many things as maybe I should.
I know you mentioned freedom a few times, and I know that the people who are entrepreneurially minded, I think pretty much everybody wants more freedom. Whether they, whether
You'd be
they,
surprised by that. I don't think that's the case.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, if the government lockdowns of the past, 4 years ago was any indication, there are plenty of people who are very, very fine with being locked up and just being quote unquote safe. I think
Yeah.
most people, in fact, I would say most people do not seek out freedom.
Interesting. I mean, but people who are entrepreneurially oriented, I think their primary impulse is freedom.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree with that statement.
yeah. What have you been able to do as, being a business owner, an entrepreneur? How has it kind of changed your life where, how have you achieved that freedom in your life?
Yeah, so to me, life is about doing the things that you want to do with the people that you want to do them with when you want to do that. Obviously, in that regard, if you're going to be with people, there's always going to be like a give and take. Like what my wife and my kids want may not be what I want. So there's always you're never going to have like ultimate freedom. That's a false god. Um, so what it means in application is, our team is remote, so I get to work anywhere and everywhere. We've made decisions that allow us to kind of work remotely, and then also we can work asynchronously. So we're able to. We do have some daily meetings, but I'm not keeping track of everyone's time card to see when they're clocking in and clocking out. So our team has a lot of autonomy with how they do their day and how they operate, and they, when they get in their flow state and when they're most efficient. And then for me, also like outside of work, my family and I, we go to Denmark as many times as we could, or pretty much every summer. We'll be going back this summer. It'll be our sixth time in a number of years, and just kind of we'll spend a month over there and work remotely, and we find that really rewarding. And I've been able to travel the world, meet people all around, go to conferences, go on men's retreats, things like that. Those are pretty important to me, and be as much as possible be involved in my children's lives as they grow up and recognize that one day they're going to be out of this house and we'll get a lot quieter.
Hmm. In terms of the future vision for your business, do you ever think about an exit strategy or like I mean, is this kind of your life's work? Do you just want to continue growing and pursuing it?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you can't be in business without asking yourself that question so that you know how to answer it. Obviously, I've been doing this for 12 or 13 years now. And there's been, if I wanted to grow and sell it, I probably would have done it by now. I do strive to build a business where I enjoy the journey. And I feel like if you build a business where you enjoy the journey, the needs of selling the business are much lower. It's not to say that I won't ever sell, but because I can't predict the future. However, if I'm doing my job right, I'm enjoying the business, I'm enjoying the things we're working on. The business is healthy and paying the bills. Uh, Excuse me. Um, so that's the goal. I think the goal is to maintain the business. It is, as I've said a few times in this episode, partly an extension of myself. So I get to work on things I enjoy. And then if there's someone at the company I don't enjoy working with, I have the power to make that change. Or if there's something about the company I don't like working on, I have that power to make the change. And sometimes you can't make the change and you just have to suffer for a period of times. Like you just have to suffer until things get right again. Or like for instance, we got sued a couple years ago and we had the lawsuit, and it's not like I could we had to go through the process, and these things just take time. So sometimes that's part of owning a business, and knowing the trade-offs that you get with owning a business versus working for a man.
Well, I mean, being sued is never a pleasant experience, I guess. So I'll ask you the next question, which in every entrepreneur's journey, there's always failures, mistakes learned, mistakes made, lessons learned. What has been like one or two big things in your entrepreneur journey which was either a failure or mistake or lesson learned for you? What was your lesson? What did you learn? What can other entrepreneurs learn from your mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my own podcast called E-commerce Conversations, and I did a solo episode where I talked about my challenging year. And it was a 30-minute episode, so I'll try not to give you a 30-minute version of all the mistakes that I've made, which are certainly more than that. I think I would say that the biggest mistake I made in the early days was our hiring process. In developing a proper hiring process built around the idea of traction, which is basically setting the expectation you're going to do a reference check at every step of the interview process. And then at the end of the interview process, you actually do a reference check. Really helps screen out kind of like the C and D candidates and leaves you with B and A's to choose from. And that's been a great experience for us. Like our youngest tenured employee right now is about 5 years. So we really haven't had that same burden of hiring um, like we did in the past. And then, from there, it's like strategic decisions that you make in the business that sometimes you get right or wrong. You just kind of miss the mark. So I don't really call those like, I would say they're wins even though they're losses. Like if we get the you know packaging wrong or the sizing wrong or the website design wrong, at the end of the day, the right thing was taking the risk and trying to figure out a way to improve the business. And maybe it does step us back a little bit, but the way we grow at BeardBrand historically has kind of been two steps forward, one step back. And we've been doing that, for 13 years. And I'm perfectly content with that. Because without a little bit of risk, I think eventually you may grow, and then you hit this wall where you'll never be able to grow because you never exercise that muscle of taking risk and doing something differently. And then you just begin that slow decline down. So yeah, I don't know. There you go. Two mistakes of
Awesome.
the many.
No, that was great. Now I'm going to move on to our rapid fire segment. In this segment, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions, and you have to answer them maybe in a couple of words or a sentence or so. So the first one is one book recommendation for entrepreneurs and why?
I always recommend the book Eat People. I don't read a lot, but it was basically an idea of how to stay lean as you grow a business.
An innovative
Andy
product.
Kessler. Andy Kessler is the author.
Andy Kessler, Eat People. Okay.
Yeah, 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 like a cannibal book.
Okay. An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about.
Well, I mean, obviously, BeardBrand is quite innovative products in the beard care space in the e-commerce. But products that we use, I'm a board advisor to Judge Me, their review software.
Hmm.
I think they're a great little company. Another like inexpensive tool that we use is going to be Grapevine for post-purchase surveys. There's a lot more, but we'll keep it short.
Okay. A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend or a productivity tip.
Yeah, I've been using Grok a lot lately, which is X's AI platform. I find it's, mostly good.
Yeah. I keep like Grok open in one window and then Chat GPT and then I have the Google's Gemini and I find, sometimes I test, I find Grok to be good in some things, whereas Chat GPT is good in other things. So I think they're all growing. I think they're still AI is still in its early phase. I think there's more to come.
It's
Um,
going to be, the future is bright.
yeah. A startup or business in another, not your business, another startup or business in e-commerce, retail, or tech that you think is currently doing great things.
Um, I would say there's a company called Breeze. I pronounce it Brez, Brez. They're in the cannabis drinking space, and I've seen them do well. And they are one of the brands that I've seen, adjacent people who aren't in my little circle buy the product. So whenever that happens pretty regularly, I would assume that they're making waves.
So you drink this drink and you feel a little bit elevated?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They also have like a mushroom infused one as well,
Okay.
like a neurotropic. So it's not necessary that all their products are about, alcohol replacement.
Okay. A peer entrepreneur or business person whom you look up to or someone who inspires you?
I've got a lot of people who I look up to. Probably the most direct person that I wish I could be or wish I could build a business like is Tobias Van Schneider of Simplice and My Mind and Carbon Made. He's a brilliant entrepreneur, beautiful design, beautiful taste, very thoughtful individual, and a generally just awesome dude. So,
Awesome. Final question. Best business advice that you have ever received or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
yeah, so this little sign, you can't read it here, that says haters gonna hate. I think as an entrepreneur, you're going to get a lot of people who tell you your ideas are dumb. They don't get it, they don't understand it. Sometimes you just got to think about this fat little guy walking around thinking to himself that haters are going to hate, and you do your own thing as you build your business because nobody's going to understand your vision like you are. And hopefully, you can convince people to get on board with your vision, but you don't have to convince everyone. So you can just tell them haters are going to hate, keep on moving.
Awesome. I mean, that's a great advice, I think, these days. I mean, I think that's people's general nature, right? So you'll come across all sorts of people. Well, Eric, thank you so much again for sharing your story, for sharing your business advice, lessons, failures. If anybody wants to check out your products, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, head over to beardbrand.com. At worst, you need to be subscribed to our newsletter to see how amazing our copywriting and our email flows are. And at best, you need to get yourself a couple $100 worth of BeardBrand products.
Awesome. By the way, do you get a lot of conversions from your email copy?
I mean, a lot is such a tangible thing, but email drives a significant portion of our revenue. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Eric, thank you so much again for your time, for sharing your story. Really, really appreciate it, and wish you and Beard Brand all the very best.
Thanks for having me on.